Hi everyone. My name is Kaylee and I am the Special Events Team Coordinator at DiscoverE. We hope that you are all staying safe and healthy at home during this time. During the summer months, DiscoverE invites mentors to speak to campers about their research or work in different STEM fields. So even though our camps were canceled for the summer, unfortunately, we want to make sure that you can still get all of those questions answered. So our mentor for today is Simran Ghoman. She is a master's student in pediatrics at the University of Alberta. Welcome, Simran, and thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
So why don't you start by introducing yourself?
Sure. I'm Simran Ghoman, and I'm from Toronto, and I just moved to Edmonton a few years ago, where I've been studying at the University of Alberta, doing my master's in pediatrics.
And do you currently work in a lab?
I currently do work in a lab. My project is more clinical medicine. So I spend half of my time at the university taking classes. I've taken some really interesting ones on how the environment impacts children's health, like how air pollution impacts children's health. And the other half of my time I spend at a lab at the Royal Alex Hospital. And that is a simulation lab where I work with my supervisor, Dr. Schmolzer. And we work there with the healthcare providers doing simulations, which is basically where they practice what they would do in real life, but kind of in a classroom that looks like a delivery room.
What did you want to be when you grew up?
One thing that my mom actually always tells this story is that I always used to say I wanted to be three things, which is I wanted to be a doctor and a writer and a designer. So I'm really lucky right now, actually. I'm able to kind of incorporate all of those three things together. So I've always been really interested in training as a doctor. So I really enjoy learning about the human body, and I just through my experiences of family members that weren't well, and just I would feel really privileged to kind of be in that position to help other families who are going through something that's so uncertain and can be so scary, but that you're there to support them and do everything that you can to help them. So that's my goal that I'm working towards right now. And what's actually really cool about this master's is that I'm kind of able to incorporate those other things. Like I'm doing working with a team of designers, and we're helping to come up with new and creative ways to teach healthcare providers. And also I'm able to write a lot because as I do my research and I get my results, I'm able to kind of put them together and send them out to the world.
That's so cool. I'm so glad that you got to put all of your dreams together.
Yeah.
That's really, really fantastic. What are your interests? Like, what do you do for fun?
That's funny. I feel like everybody had things that they did for fun before this year. And then there's kind of now everybody has new things that they do for fun. But one of my favorite things to do is to learn new things. So right now I'm like learning how to cook a lot. So one of my favorite things is to kind of like make a new recipe that I've never tried before for lunch. And then I like to sit outside in my garden with my family, or I'll do a video call like this with some of my friends and we'll have lunch together. But yeah, I love being outside, drawing, painting, running, doing yoga, things like that. So haven't been able to do most of those things. So
that's awesome. Yeah, hopefully your routine hasn't had to change too much with everything that's going on in the world right now, but it's good that you're still able to connect to people and still do all those things that you love doing. What accomplishment are you most proud of?
One of the things that was really exciting for me last year was that I got to go to a conference with a bunch of other people that are in my field, and ranging from people that are just kind of starting out like me, all the way to people that have been working for 30 or 40 years in this field. And I was able to talk to them and present my work to them. And I was fortunate to get honored with an award there, which was super cool and was really exciting after putting so much work into something that people that you look up to so much kind of appreciate and understand kind of what you're working on. But I also think it's really important to emphasize that like all of the work that goes into it and working together with your collaborators and your supporters and your teachers and your classmates and all of the effort that goes into it, I feel like I'm so much more proud of that, more so than anything else that kind of comes out of it.
That's fantastic. Congratulations. What award was it?
It was this presentation award that I did. So basically it was a group of people that are really focused in the area of research that I am doing my work in. And we all presented our research, and then I was able to win the first place presentation award there, which was super cool.
Wow, that's fantastic. That's so good for you. So speaking of, can you tell us what research you're working on right now?
Yeah, so my research actually is about how to train healthcare providers. So there's something that's called neonatal resuscitation, which has to do with how doctors and nurses, when they attend deliveries, how they're able to take care of the newborn babies that need help to breathe as soon as they're born. So actually, as many as 1 in 10 newborn babies will need some kind of help to breathe as soon as they're born. So it's up to that team of doctors and nurses that are there to quickly and correctly kind of jump in and start doing everything that's needed to safely get them to start to breathe. So it can be kind of complicated, and a lot of frequent training is needed, but a lot of times it's not so easy to access that, like taking time off from work and going to do training. So what my research is working on is kind of finding new ways, like we're working on doing games or low-cost simulations like I was talking about earlier, and even doing virtual simulations on the computer. So that way people all around the world, anytime and any place, are able to kind of brush up their skills so that they're best prepared for when the time comes and they might need to help one of these babies that are, need their help so badly as soon as they're born.
Can you explain maybe the science behind neonatal resuscitation in kind of simpler terms?
Sure. So as soon as the baby is born, they have to transition from when they're inside their mom, they're, in fluid and their lungs are filled with fluid. And then as soon as they come out, they have to figure out how to get all that fluid out of their lungs and start breathing in fresh air. And for any number of reasons, sometimes if a baby is born too early, like they're premature, or if they have some other kind of health complication that would just make it a bit more difficult for them to start breathing. So the first kind of things that some healthcare providers will do is that they'll just kind of rub the baby a little bit to try to get them to wake up, dry them off, keep them warm. And most of the time that does work, but sometimes they have to give oxygen through a mask, or they have to actually kind of give breaths to the baby so that their lungs can stay inflated. It's kind of like CPR for babies.
Okay.
And even sometimes they have to do chest compressions or give medicine to the baby. And this all kind of happens usually like within that first 10 minutes of the baby being born. So everyone has to be super prepared to, and especially work together, because you can imagine having to do all those things at the same time. You need a lot of hands and a lot of people with a lot of different expertise to all work together. And you're all working around that, tiny space just around a little baby. So that's where being well prepared is super important.
I can definitely see that. That would be extremely stressful, and it's really wonderful that there are people out there who are willing to put themselves through that stress. What are some challenges that you face in your field?
I would say this one, the biggest challenge I feel like for me was being in a research program. You're always doing something new that no one has done before. Like that's kind of what you're wanting to kind of see, where you can take things to the next, figuring out new knowledge. And that combined with being like at the beginning of my career, where I don't have those years of expertise, where I, kind of feel like a lot of confidence and that I know exactly like what's going on and everything. So it's been a really important lesson in terms of just being confident that you have a perspective and you can see things in a new way that maybe other people hadn't seen. And sometimes looking at things with a pair of fresh eyes is a really good way to find new ideas. So I think it's been a big thing about taking the challenge of kind of feeling like you're in a situation where you're kind of overwhelmed, and kind of flipping that as much as you can and to try to thinking about it as a positive.
Do you have any advice for any viewers who might be interested in entering this field?
I would say that just figure out what excites you and just try to get any kind of way to get any kind of exposure to that. So it doesn't always have to be a huge thing. As soon as you kind of start exploring what you might be interested in, different opportunities fall in line, and you kind of end up in an opportunity which you couldn't have ever foreseen yourself in. But things just kind of have a way of working themselves out to the way that they're supposed to be, and you end up learning everything that you needed to learn to do the best that you can wherever you are. So I would say take everything as a learning opportunity and just try to follow your passion and see where that takes you.
That's fantastic advice. Hopefully anyone out there who's interested in this can definitely take that advice and, like you said, pursue their passion. We're going to finish with some more lighthearted questions. So if you had a superhero power, what would it be?
I feel like my answer to this changes maybe once in a while, but right now I feel like teleportation would be super cool. I feel like it would be really practical in real life. Like once we start going back to school and work, I mean, there'd be no commute, and then you could also go anywhere around the world.
I like that you're thinking of the practicality of this. That's good. There was some strategy here. And our second creative question, what is your favorite planet?
That's a good one. I mean, I'm only had experiences with Earth, but I've always found that Venus is kind of cool.
So that is all the questions that we have for you today. Thank you so much, Simran, for coming in and joining us and telling us a bit about your research.
Thank you so much. It was really nice to talk to you.
And we will be putting up Simran's social media information at the end of this video if anyone watching this wants to maybe catch up with her work and see what's happening with that, because it's super cool. So yeah, thank you for everyone who watched this today, and we will see you next time. Thank you.